Did you know that, hold on, 10% of Americans struggle with addictions of drugs and alcohol every year, and over 35% struggle with anxiety and depression? It's your boy Penny Kraz, and this is Soulber podcast. Every week, we'll be bringing you stories of trials, tribulations, and triumph in the addiction and recovery world, plus important lessons you can take out of them, whether you're in recovery or not. We have a very special guest. He's the Director of Patient Relations in a treatment center out west and has an absolute insane story to share. Welcome, Ryan Pienovi.
Hey,
Let's
Penny.
hear what you got.
Yeah, Penny. So, yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to do this, and looking forward to it. So, yeah, I've been in the recovery industry for since about 2008, and I'm a gambler, alcoholic, drug addict, sex, relationships. Sort of had to take a look at it all. And
The trades.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of everything. They call that the trifecta times 3. So it is what it is. But it's I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and I'm 43 now, and I went through a life of addiction. I grew up in a pretty good family. They meant well. They worked hard. I just had the addiction component from early on. And, when I was young, I was always an athlete, so I would always try to perform, and that sort of gave me some escape away from my addictions or my feelings of what I was feeling. And, as I look back, there was a lot of depression, anxiety, and it led a lot of the time to me acting out, from drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex. And from the time that I was 10 years old, and it is. And, like I said, I grew up in a good family. They meant well. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. I got 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. One of them has addiction. The other don't, but but throughout, it's my family has had addiction, and it sort of came throughout my inheritance almost right there. This is how it is.
Comes with the biological family.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt. So, I grew up in Portland, Oregon. A lot going on out there, trying to fit in, and started getting high, started drinking, started gambling, started acting out sexually between 10 and 14 years old. And, I had to suffer a little homelessness, arguments with my parents, fights. My relationships were bad from an early age on. And, it's just how it was. It was a life of trying to find myself. And the only thing that helped me feel good was the addiction almost. It gave me some relief.
The relief that you need to moving forward.
Yeah. And there was a lot of pain involved, a lot of growth. And I wasn't really ready to take a look at it, until I was 18, 19, 20, after I had, I'd quit school. I lost jobs. I'd been kicked out of my house. My family didn't know what to do with me. And it was years and years and years of that.
I hear you. It's hard. So tell us a little bit about in the beginning of your addiction, like what really dragged you into it and what the highs of your addiction were.
Yeah. The beginnings of my addiction were it was almost to fit in, right? It's like, these people are doing it. Let me try it. Let me give it a shot right there. And from a gambling mentality, it was, let me be the big shot. It was, sometimes it was, I wanted to live up to my dad's expectations of myself, even though he really didn't have these expectations of myself. He just wanted to see me be happy. But I felt like, if I could make some money, get ahead, that would put me in a good position. With the drinking and the drugging, it was just to escape, it was escape the pain and feel better. And, because like I said, I suffered with some depression, some anxiety, and that took it away, and, but as that took it away, it took everything else away from me, whether my relationship with my family, whether my interest in my sports, I wasn't able to function.
Yeah. So a little bit, like, what age did you decide that it was enough? And from that age, what went on there? Like, did you go straight to treatment and get sober? Like, did you have like a roll around? You got sober, started using, got sober, started using.
I
Like, what
tried
happened?
outpatient treatment first, where I didn't know about inpatient treatment. So I tried outpatient. Just saw a counselor, once a week, and shared a little bit about what was going on, and tried to move through that, and that didn't work. I wasn't ready to quit then. That was about 18, 19 years old, and then about 21ish, I went to treatment, and I got kicked out of that one. Right, so it's I wasn't ready there either. I wasn't ready to surrender, and about 23, I went to another treatment and I left that one. So it was like the first 3 attempts at wanting to get clean, looking at it, having any willingness weren't really there. And that was between 18 and 23-ish. And then for the next, so I looked at it on and off, tried to get clean, hit some meetings, did what I had to do, but I wasn't really ready. And I continued on through a crazy life of addiction, stealing, lying, cheating, drugs, alcohol, gambling. It was rough. And until I was finally ready to get clean, more so when I was 28, and enough was enough. I was ready to kill myself, and I was just like, I got to do something different. It's like either I'm going to die or I'm going to kill myself, or I can take a shot at getting better. Yeah.
You can only get better when you hit rock bottom, because there's nowhere else to go.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
So like from there, like what was kind of your journey from, let's say, the age of 17 to 28? For those 11 years, what was your journey?
So there was some homelessness, there was some lost jobs, there was a lot of stealing, a lot of lying, a lot of manipulating. That's just how I was. I was an addict, where I would just, I would try to get anything and everything from everybody, but all for myself. Right? It's like I was a selfish addict, and I learned addicts are selfish, and which can be a good thing at some point. But when I'm in my addiction, it's not good necessarily. And
the good thing in recovery, because in recovery, it's all about selfishness. It's all about looking into yourself and being yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
like, I know for me, when I went to treatment, you were my house manager my first time in treatment. I know I personally wasn't ready. I didn't choose to go there. And from there, I actually have stayed sober since then.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't choose to do it, but as I went along, I decided that's the right path to go, and you got to stick on it.
You do, and I can relate, because I didn't choose to do it early on either. It was more to make my parents happy or get my parents off my back right there, and that's how it was for years. Like this last time I was finally ready. I finally said, "All right, let's take a look at it and do this right here." And that was at the age of 28, after a wreck of a life right there. So
at least, you still caught it young.
I did.
Later. But so in your opinion, what would you say is really the best way to go towards recovery? Because I know a lot of people say, going to treatment 8 times, going to treatment 9 times, hitting meetings, that all keeps you sober. To me personally, I think it's bullshit. What would you say is the right road towards recovery? Like, what do you need to stay sober? And what are the fundamentals of sobriety? Not treatment aside, what are the fundamentals of staying sober after your first run in treatment center without having to go back multiple times?
Yeah, the number one thing for me is just staying connected, right? I got to stay connected to people in recovery, right? That's key for me, whether it's texting, calling, hanging out, going for walks. It's like in meetings, it's, I do that, and I work, I got to work the steps for myself, and the steps for recovery for me are all based on honesty and willingness and love and surrender, turning stuff over and looking at my faults and willing to make amends and move forward. Right. It's like, I got to move forward and keep moving forward. Because if I get stagnant or stop, it's like, I got a good chance of going back out there. Right. So, it's a constant.
You're never too sober to relapse.
You are not. You're always one drink, one bet, one drug, one cheating on my girlfriend away from relapsing. That's for sure.
So tell us about your first meeting. How did your first meeting you ever went into go?
Oh, it was hell. I was nervous as hell. I'm looking around. I'm like, who the hell are all these people I'm around right here? Can these people even relate right there? It's like, my anxiety was off the roof. I'm just like, what the hell am I doing here? It's like, and I was younger, I was younger. So a lot of people were older than me. So it was tough for me to relate at the beginning right there. At least I was trying to find all these ways to not give myself an opportunity to stick around. And so it was.
A lot of people at their first meetings, they get very scared. They get very scared off because a bunch of people sharing their stories, and they're like, I don't know these people. I don't want to open my heart up to them. And like for me personally, my first meeting I went to in Montreal, I walked out after 5 minutes. I was like, what the? I'm not as crazy as these people. What are these people here? I'm normal.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be a tip from you to someone who is new in recovery, somebody who's just getting sober? What's a tip from you who is 13 years sober?
Yeah. What do I got? I got 14 years sober. It was December 8th.
I had run sobriety when I was in treatment.
It's nuts. Yeah. So
what would be a tip from you to someone who's new in recovery to kind of get them really rolling the ball on their recovery without having the stumbles that you've had and I've had and other people who are in recovery have had?
My thought is, find someone you can relate to and get some time with and talk to, right? As nervous and as scary as that is, get with somebody and just say, hey, it's, raise your hand and say, hey, I need some help. Just be willing to ask for help and have some open-mindedness. The open-mindedness is big, and to give us some time, and know that we aren't going to fix it all overnight. None of this stuff happens overnight. It's going to take some time, and give yourself some time, so, yeah.
So another thing I wanted to hear from you, someone who's been this in a while. What about anxiety and depression? What's your biggest tips to kind of cope and really maneuver through anxiety and depression? Because anxiety and depression is the hardest thing after addiction. You have a lot of it. It really controls you. You feel it in your bones. You feel it in your stomach. It's a physical feeling. It's not just a mental feeling. And it's really hard to maneuver through it and stay sober through the anxiety and depression you get once you're off drugs, once you're off drinking, once you're off gambling, and once you get sad, you don't know what to do. Usually you go drink, you gamble, you use drugs. Now you have nothing to do. So what would be your kind of tips to maneuver through that? Because that's a very hard thing for a lot of people.
I think you got to find something. You got to sort of dig deep and find something you're passionate about, right? Find something that's going to bring you a little joy, and whatever that may be. It's like you're doing here. You're great with this stuff. You love this stuff. You love sharing, helping people out, talking to people. It's like your personality. Like my personality is, I like to get out there and go play some golf. I like to go for walks. I like to hang out. It's like I got to find something that's going to bring some joy to me when I'm going through the depression, and do something nice for myself, right? Because when I'm depressed, my natural instinct is to not do anything and just suffer in misery. So it's like, to do something nice. That's big.
Still waiting for that 9-hole game, Ryan.
Once you get back out here, once you come out for a visit, we'll go. That's it.
So, yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like for me personally, the anxiety and depression, I think finding healthy activities to cope with them. Pick up a hobby, like anything, whether it's coding or writing or, even watching videos on YouTube to learn about life or to learn about business or building a business, getting a job where you can grow at, just anything to really help you cope with it in a healthy way where you're not running around your head in circles, like running a marathon through your head, to kind of go through a healthy maneuvering way of coping with the anxiety and depression of the hardships after getting sober, because it's very hard and your only coping skill just went out the window.
You did.
That you knew forever. And now you have to deal with all the shit that's in your head and all the shit that you were running away from. Now you have to deal with it and confront it and face it. And that's, as much as it's hard, it's a drive-through matter only. You can't really go around it. You have to drive right through the glass and break it and really smash it in the face because there's no real going around it. If you go around it, it bites you in the ass later, and you'll bleed on people that never cut you. If you never heal those wounds.
You got to go through that pain. You got to go through that pain to get there. And some days are going to be more painful than others, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's like a drive-through with a long line. A lot of people just want to pull and go inside the store. Now you got to wait in the drive-through and wait for all those cars to go and then drive through it. Exactly. There's no way around it.
No, there isn't. There isn't. That's for sure.
So, when you were in treatment, I know you went to 4 or 5 different treatment centers.
Yeah.
Treatment. What were your biggest pain points in treatment? What would you say are the biggest pain points in treatment centers? Because no one's perfect. Treatment centers aren't perfect. What would you say were the biggest pain points in those places, and what you didn't like, and what kind of really hit you like this shouldn't happen?
It's sometimes in treatment. Sometimes it can get a little stagnant. It's you can get caught up. I got to sit in these groups with these people right there. I don't like these housemates, right? There's different things that come up and that sort of block you off, and my therapist didn't show up, for their appointment. It's, that stuff happened. I got to go to these meetings again. I got to drive in this van, it's, there's those challenges where,
you don't get the music.
No, there's
got to listen to the garbage radio that, muffles through its way.
That's right. That's right. It's not easy. It's not easy. That's for sure.
What were the pluses of treatment, though?
The pluses are I give myself some time to heal. There it is. I gave myself some time to heal. I got to hang around with, for the most part, people that were, wanting the same thing as I was, which was to get better ultimately, right? And there was some good times for sure. I had some good times in treatment I won't forget. That's for sure. And I was a wild one in treatment, so I was always getting in trouble. That's it. So yeah,
been there.
Yeah.
My question: What are your thoughts on medicating recovering patients? So this is my take on it. You have a patient going from, let's take a patient going from abusing heroin, meth and fentanyl, right? Patient using all that, coming into treatment, he's done. He has seizures. He doesn't know how to live. He's not shooting needles up. He doesn't know what to do. And then they throw you in a bunch of meds. They give you 50 different meds to take, and you keep taking it through your entire spread in treatment. And then when you leave treatment, you keep taking it. What are your thoughts on that? Because my personal thoughts on that is I think medicating treatments with pharmaceutical meds once they come off of a high is a little bit of a fishy way. You know what I mean? It's a little like they're coming from drugs and you're giving them other drugs, even though they're healthier drugs. You're throwing more drugs into their system.
It's tricky. There's a fine line because some people need them in terms of to deal with coming off the drugs, right? There's a detox process where sometimes you have to start with it, and eventually
detox. I agree with it, but I'm saying after detox,
yeah,
they keep you on it. They give you more. Like you have anxiety, they give you more. What are your thoughts on dealing with anxiety and depression with meds rather than dealing with it with human resources that we have in our body?
I think ultimately it'd be ideal for the human resource to be able to use that right there, right? If our bodies could produce it and be happy, I think it would be a great thing. It's challenging though at times because I don't know if people can, right? It's like our bodies are made up of different things. Sometimes some people can't produce the amounts of serotonin they need, to function. And it's like sometimes meds can be helpful, sometimes they can be hurtful. So it's it's different for sure for everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with that in a way. Yeah. I think the meds is a little fishy.
I hear you.
The treatment centers like it's water.
I hear you. Yeah.
No, but overall, personally, I think treatment center is a needed necessity. I think it's a good thing. But one thing that really hit me when I went to treatment centers, I've been to many of them. I I went on the merry-go-round on treatment centers. I was playing run around the chairs, whatever the game is called.
Yeah.
And a lot of the treatment centers I went to, I felt like one in particular. I'm not going to mention the name, but I felt like the therapists were more there for getting paid and then helping the patients. Like, let's say 5 o'clock came and they go home and you run over to them and say, "Hey, I need to talk. I'm having really bad anxiety right now." They're going to say, "Sorry, I have to go home. My time is up." What are your thoughts on treatment centers that have therapists that do that, rather than sticking around for an extra hour or two to make sure their patients are good and okay?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the staff to be able to do that and to be there to support. It's like, you don't, when you're going through a crisis, you don't want to have someone run out on you right there and just be left alone. That's for sure. So it's important, I think for the field to look at that and do the work they have to do around it to give each patient the best support that they can going through it. That's important. That's for sure.
I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast a few weeks ago, and I heard he was on with somebody, and I heard them say that they're starting to make pharmaceutical heroin to help people, legal and non-fatal doses to help people. What are your thoughts on that? Pharmaceutical heroin, even though heroin kills people every day and sends more people to treatment than anything else. What are your thoughts on pharmaceutical, medicated, legal, non-fatal doses of heroin being injected into patients' bodies?
I'm not a fan of that. I'll tell you that much. That's something, because I haven't heard that one yet. But it's when you hear pharmaceutical heroin being given away to addicts right there, you're asking for some trouble. I'm sure. That's it.
I think the medical marijuana sector opened up too many doors on that one.
It is. It's real. It's really gonna be interesting over these next few years. That's for sure.
It's going to be a scary ride. That's opening. Now they're going to pharmaceutical heroin. What's next? Medical cocaine.
Yeah. Sure. Exactly.
But it's very interesting. And so just a little more, like, over the last, you got sober at 28, which is 15 years now.
Yeah.
14, 15 years. Over the last 14, 15 years, what were your biggest struggles in sobriety after treatment? Post-treatment, what were the biggest struggles and how did you cope with those struggles?
The biggest struggles were getting back to the basics of trying to fit in. Can I live my life clean and sober and be okay, right? Is this really what I want to do, right? It's like, can I function without those type of things in my system right there, without gambling, drinking, or drugging? Can I be okay, right? And I learned I could be okay. It took me some time, but I really had to stay close and do my therapy work, do my meetings, do my recovery right there, because it's key. And the longer I've done it, I've seen I can have a good, happy, healthy life this way. And, that's all I was looking for. I was just looking for a happy, healthy life. And before, I couldn't get there. So it's like my biggest triggers in life are money, relationships, and death, right? So it's those are my three biggest ones. And when those pop up, I can get a little funky, It's so I got to talk about it, share about it, see what's up, so I don't get stuck in it.
So, like, how do you, let's say you're driving by a casino.
Yeah.
Do you get triggered? No.
I mean, I'll get triggered at times. I was.
How do you deal with?
I was poker player, blackjack player, not slots, but poker player, blackjack player, and sports bettor. And it's, it's.
Remember, you were telling me you were betting on gooses or mooses in China.
That's how it goes. So whatever it takes. So but
whatever it takes.
When I'm driving by places, when I'm watching a game, it's like the thoughts, of course, go through my head. It's like, God, I missed the cards. It'd be nice to see the cards. I'm watching a game. I should have had some action on this. It's like, the thoughts go there. And, my thought, I let the thoughts pass, because the thoughts just come and go now. They don't stay where they used to be. And I said to myself, I know if I step foot in and put some action down, it's like, it's a matter of time before I lose everything, right? It's like my life is good now. I work for an all telehealth company called Kindbridge, and I get to set up people with therapists all throughout the country, and I talk to parents, family members, and do so much that I love to do. It's like I have a flexibility to help people and help myself at the same time. So it's like I try to look at where is my life at now and where has it been, and I don't want to go back there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a better place. I mean, personally for me, you remember me how I was a year and a half ago when I walked into treatment, I was a different person. It was a lot more not stable.
No.
It definitely makes a big difference when you get sober and you realize what's important in life and what you really need to look at and what you really need to focus on. And it helps a lot to have people to help you maneuver through that.
Yeah.
And, have someone you can call at all times, have a sponsor, have meetings that you go to, sponsor other people, and just really get yourself bricked into that community, like with cement. Cement yourself in and hold yourself there and don't leave it.
Exactly. That's the key. Like you said, it's just, somebody told me recovery is like the mafia. If I leave, I die. So it's like, there it is. It's how it goes.
You know what? The only way to become a millionaire from gambling is if you start as a billionaire.
Yeah, there we go. There's no better point than that. That's for sure.
There's no better way to go at it.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your insight and your story.
You got it. Nice. Yeah.
And thank you for all your listeners. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, love to come back on and see how you're doing down the road.
We'll definitely have you. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Penny.
Have a good day.